Welcome to the Little Bighorn Treasure Hunting Sources Part 75. We would like to share from the book Cheyenne Memories from the Custer Fight, the White Shield interview. The Colt single action right in front of you, serial number 4449, is marked with White Shield's name in Togia in several places. And you can see more about the gun and other history in videos 47 and 58. Here is what White Shield said in his interview. The morning I went fishing on the Little Bighorn with Blackstone and my nephew. My nephew was catching grasshoppers for me. I know nothing about the Reno fight. The boys sent after grasshoppers came back and said, an Indian went by wearing a war bonnet. They must be looking for someone. I got on my horse and rode upon a hill, and faintly heard much shooting and saw people running to the hills. I knew that the camp had been attacked. I rode into camp. What I had seen from a distance was the Reno fight. When I reached camp, all the men were gone, but my mother was leading my war horse around, down in front of the lodge, waiting for me. I bridled my horse and said to my mother, "Where is my war shirt?" She said that a man had just been there who took it to wear in the fight. His name was Bulletproof. He fixed himself up to fight and tied a stuffed kingfisher on his head. The same man who was in the Carpenter fight. While I was dressing myself and telling my mother which way she should go, I looked back and saw soldiers in 7 groups or companies. One company could be seen a long way off because the horses were pretty white. I turned to go toward Custer, but some Indians had already seen Custer and going towards him with others from the camps. I went around and came in below, though the company was coming fast, making for the Little Bighorn. Near me I could see only Roan Bear, Bobtail Horse, and one other man. On my side was a man named Mad Wolf who said, "No one should charge. The soldiers are too many. Just keep shooting at them." When the Gray Horse Company got pretty close to the river, they dismounted, and all the soldiers, back as far as I could see, stopped and dismounted also. When the Gray Horse Company dismounted, the Indians began to fire at them, and the soldiers returned the fire. It was not long before the Indians began to gather in large numbers where I was. After they had been shooting some time, Contrary Big Belly made a charge down in front of the Gray Horse Company. And from where the Indians were, they saw that the horses of one other company began to get frightened and started to circle around the men who were holding them. When Contrary Big Belly got back, the companies began shooting fast. I looked across the river and saw 2 men make a charge on another company far off to the southeast. Those 2 men were Yellow Nose and my half-brother. It was here that Yellow Nose got a company flag, snatching it from the ground where it stood and counted coup with it on a soldier. When Yellow Nose turned and went back towards the Indians, the horses of the frightened companies broke away from their holders and stampeded, causing someone to cry out, "The soldiers are coming!" The soldiers holding the horses did not let go. They hung on, but the horses got loose anyway. All the soldiers retreated back from the river, but the horse company stood their ground. The Gray Horse Company stood eventually where the monument is now. Of the other companies, some left the river, some went toward it. The Indians charged from all sides, and the companies came together a little. By this time, 3 companies had lost their horses, but 4 still had theirs. One company had lost their horses, was near where the the road goes now. They were all on foot going towards the Gray Horse Company. I got around on that side. About half of this company was without guns. They fought with 6-shooters. It was close fighting, almost hand to hand up the hill. The Gray Horse Company was on foot and kept the Indians off on one side, and the other company came across in front of the Gray Horse Company. 3 companies had been killed off before the second 3 companies in the Gray Horse Company were killed. The 3 still surviving were half a mile from the Gray Horse Company toward the hill. Those who survived from the first 3 companies tried to make their way to the Gray Horse, the last 3 companies. They lost their horses and got up the hill on foot. After the 3 companies had reached the Gray Horse Company, a man riding a sorrel horse escaped. The Gray Horse Company held their horses to the last, and almost all these horses were killed. When the 4 companies got together, they did not last long. About when the last man dropped in the Gray Horse Company, the Indians made a charge and killed all the wounded with hatchets, arrows, and knives. Old Bear and Kills in the Night, still living in 1915, chased the man on the sorrel horse that got away. And Old Bear, I think, killed him. The Sioux fired a shot at this soldier but missed. Old Bear, who was a Cheyenne, then fired, and a little later the soldier fell off his horse. And when they got up to him, they found he was shot in the back between the soldiers' shoulders. I have 2 of Old Bear's guns, a 1860 Army and a Winchester 1866. Custer was on the outer edge of the Gray Horse Company toward the river. I saw the man supposed to be Custer being stripped. He was clad in a buckskin shirt, fringed on the breast and trousers. He wore fine high boots and had a knife stuck in a scabbard in his boot, and wore a big red handkerchief. Lying near him was a 6-shooter and a saber. He must have died with a pistol in his hands. They had sabers with them. A man supposed to be with Custer had a long mustache, but no other hair on his face. He had marks prickled into his skin on his arms above his wrist. This was probably Captain Thomas W. Custer. The Indians did not charge into the soldiers, but shot them from behind the hills. White Bull's son, Mad Wolf, or Limber Bones, charged among the soldiers and was killed. An incident of the Custer fight. For many years, George Grinnell have been told with much mystery of the stripping of a white man on the Custer field. The man having been dressed in a buckskin coat, high boots, red handkerchief about the neck, and tattoo marks on his wrist. This man was probably Tom Custer. I never heard who it was that they stripped until July 1914, when it came out that Little Horse, the party that was stripped, was found southwest where the monument now stands at the foot of the little hill. The man seemed to be an officer of the Gray Horse Troop, some of the Sioux said. This is the man who brought the soldiers, and then the Sioux women smashed his head with mauls. The man had been scalped. I have Little Horse's gun also. It's a Remington 1858 .44 caliber Army. Well, thanks again for watching. We thought this would be a great historical story to tell. God bless.